Welcome. We spend so much of our lives thinking about physical health, but what if we've been looking in the wrong place? What if getting sick, really sick, actually starts somewhere else entirely? Today, we're diving into a perspective that suggests the true root of illness isn't in our bodies at all, but in our souls. This could totally change how you see your own health. So let's get right into it.
So our source material kicks things off with this huge philosophical question, right? A real head-scratcher that people have debated for ages. But what's so fascinating is how it uses this massive idea to zoom right in on something incredibly personal, our own health. It's like it's saying, hey, maybe the answer to one of the biggest questions out there is actually inside of us. And just like that, we pivot from the cosmos right back down to Earth, to something we can all relate to, being sick. The core idea here is that before we can even begin to talk about healing, we have to completely redefine what illness even means. It's like we've only ever been looking at the tiny tip of the iceberg, totally missing the massive problem lurking just beneath the surface.
And this right here is the absolute heart of the matter. We're not just talking about lots of different diseases. No, we're talking about two fundamentally different kinds of illness, one that affects the body and another that affects the soul. Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. On one side, you've got the illness of the body. This is what we all think of as sickness, the cough, the fever, the ache. But on the other side, there's the illness of the soul. And here's the kicker. This perspective argues that the physical sickness, that's just the symptom. The real problem, the actual root cause, is spiritual. So how does that even work? How does a problem with the soul actually make the body physically sick? Well, it's not random. There's a fascinating three-step process that's laid out for us. Let's walk through it. It all starts with a feeling called kagapam. Think of it as this deep inner frustration, like you're being suffocated from the inside out. If that feeling goes unaddressed, you move to step 2. You become a huanja. Now this is crucial. You're not physically sick yet. You're a spiritual patient. It's only after this stage, if the soul sickness is still ignored, that it finally bursts forth and manifests in the body. That's step 3, when you become a byungja.
Let's focus on that term hwanja for a minute. Today, in Korean, it's just the standard word for patient. But this source says, wait a minute, its original meaning is much deeper. It refers to a person whose soul is sick. This is that critical, invisible stage of illness that modern medicine just doesn't really have a category for.
And then you have the Pungyeongja. This is the person we all recognize as being sick. Their spiritual pain has now become a physical reality, something tangible. And this, of course, is when they finally go to the doctor, because the problem has just become too loud to ignore anymore.
So, if this is how illness really develops, you gotta ask, where does modern medicine fit in? And this is where the source gets really provocative. And asks a pretty tough question. Are doctors just repairmen?
Here's the wild irony of it all. Doctors call the sick person a huanja, a spiritual patient, which, if you think about it, is absolutely correct. But then, what do they actually treat? They only focus on the byungja, the physical symptoms. They're using the right label for the wrong problem and completely missing the root cause. Yeah, this quote just nails the critique. It says that by only fixing the broken parts, doctors have become expert mechanics for the human body. They can patch you up, for sure, but the underlying hwanja, the sick soul, is never actually healed. So what happens? Well, of course the problem comes back. Maybe it looks a little different next time, a new ache or pain, but the root cause is still there, untouched.
Okay, so if medicine is just a band-aid, what's the real cure? How do you heal a sick soul? Well, the answer offered is both surprisingly simple and incredibly powerful.
The answer is communication. The medicine for the soul isn't a pill or a procedure. It's a non-material energy, words. It's the healing power that flows between us when we genuinely connect through speech.
But that leads to another question, doesn't it? Why do we get that spiritual frustration in the first place? What's blocking that vital flow of energy?
The answer is profound because it's so simple. It's about what it means to be human. We are animals that are literally wired to speak, to communicate. It's at the very core of our being. So when we're silenced, when our truth gets bottled up inside, our soul begins to suffocate. And that suffocation is the true beginning of illness. And the cure isn't some mystical secret, it's right there in our everyday lives. It's a spouse who actually listens to their partner. It's parents who validate what their children are feeling. It's a friend who creates that safe space for you to just talk. Turns out, the most powerful medicine in the world might just be the simple act of being heard.
Now let's zoom all the way out. This powerful idea of communication expands from healing a single person to the very purpose of human existence. It's about to tackle the biggest question of all. Why are we here?
And the answer, we're told, is cultural production. Now, what does that mean? It's the uniquely human drive to create, to make art, to share ideas, to build societies. It's the magic of using our words to literally weave the fabric of our shared reality.
So this really boils it all down to two paths in front of us. On one side, you have the goal of the body, which is all about longevity, just staying alive as long as possible. But on the other side, you have the goal of the soul, which is all about development, growth, and creation. And that path is fueled by communication. It's a powerful choice we all have to make.
And so we're left with this one last profound question. In our quest to live longer and longer, are we maybe forgetting how to live at all? This challenges us to really think about what matters more, the length of our life or the depth of our soul. Now that's something worth thinking about.